Boom! There we are. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome into another episode of the Triple Fantasy Football Show. We are now a proud member of Empire Media and the Empire Media Podcast Network. D-Mendy here, joined as always by Johnny Foosball, John Van Etten. John, it looks like the brick green screen from your shirt is gone. I don't know if I like it or not.
Let's see. Nope.
There he is.
You rocked it all last week. Couldn't keep it up, but it's all good. It's all good. Also joined by the guy that seems to make babies cry. It's the Doc, Eric Mendelson. What's going on?
Where does that come from?
I don't know. I felt like it was something that applied to you. I don't know if it makes sense or not, but
Thanks, man. I guess that's a compliment.
yeah. And then also the handsome fellow at the top of the screen. You know him. He is the Brad Stradamus, aka the guy that wakes up at 4 a.m. every day to bring you the world of movies. How's it going?
Can't complain, man. I want Aaron Rodgers on Washington by the end of the business day.
That's a lofty expectation. We'll see what happens. But fellas, we got a special guest that if you couldn't see at the bottom of the screen here, I got to introduce him the proper way. We welcome in a man that can narrate a AWS cloud commercial better than anyone in the game. The co-host of the Fantasy Footballers and the Spitballers podcast, this Dungeons and Dragons god is the guy with the mohawk, the beard, the tats, and that takes that can't be questioned. Did you call for a fantasy hitman? Because we got someone here who's going to assassinate the competition in Mike, the fantasy hitman. Right, what's going on, man?
Whoa, we got to pump the brakes on that intro. It's a little that's a little too fluff squad over there, but I'll take it. Thanks. What's up, guys? I appreciate the invite. Jumping on here, whatever it is we're gonna do. But man, before we get into it, y'all put your graphics team into overtime with the 30 countdown.
Yeah, dude.
You thought we were gonna give you 15?
Yeah, you couldn't. You didn't get to 10 and be like, I think we could call here. He's like, nope, we're going 30 all the way down, uniquely animated.
That's right.
Make the people wait.
I'm glad somebody said it because it does make me laugh every time that David starts all the way at 30 seconds.
You know, the 30 seconds allows me to get my script up. It allows me to get settled in. I mean, for you guys, you can settle in.
Don't tell anybody the secret sauce. Just let it stay 30.
Because you
David,
can't.
we don't have a
before.
script.
Yeah.
You're like I wait until the final 30 seconds before the show. That's when I actually get ready.
Yeah.
The hour before, who knows what I'm doing.
It's like submitting a term paper back in college. You got to wait until it's 11:59 and then
you get your best ideas.
Dave does his best work under pressure. He's got the clutch gene, so we just gotta let him. Let him do it in 30.
David, let's try to get it down to 25 next week, okay?
Let's see what I can do. I don't know. I'm feeling like Steve Nash right now. I'm feeling clutch since he called me. We were talking Phoenix Suns before the show.
Well, if you're Steve Nash, you don't need 30 seconds, bro.
24 seconds.
That would actually be a violation.
I would need like 8 seconds to set up a play.
Well, so. what was the book? It was like 13 seconds or less.
I think it was. Yeah. Something like that.
No,
maybe 12. Maybe 12.
12 seconds. Okay.
That's the movie starring
better.
Aziz Ansari and Jesse Eisenberg.
Oh, this isn't the
30
movie.
minutes.
This isn't the movie time. We already do that with Adam Rank Enough. We do that with Adam Rank Enough. So we'll actually talk something different a little bit today. We're pumped to have Mike on the show. Obviously, I think most of the people and their moms know who Mike Wright is.
The moms, especially the moms.
Yeah, there we go.
What?
But I got to first ask right off the bat, how badass was it to have Aaron Rodgers acknowledge you in that commercial?
Oh, my goodness, man. That was really, really, really wild. So they sent me that off take, through before the commercial aired. There was like, and they said like, oh, check this out, and like it had like a wink emoji or something. And I watched it. I watched the whole thing. I'm like, what's going on here? And they kept my because I something super tight, and which was just like, it was absurd when I recorded it, and it felt so stupid. But I'm like, that's funny. I don't know if they'll keep that or not. And they ended up using that. I thought that's what all the hullabaloo was. What they were like acknowledging that my line made it in, and I go on about it. I'm like, I'm gonna watch it again. Then I actually like heard what he said at the end, and I lost my crap. My eyes like when I get excited, my eyes well up real fast, so it looks like I'm about to just weep. Because look, weeping is good for the soul. But my eyes well up, and I'm like I'm like I'm trying to talk to my wife about. I'm like Aaron, the video. So yes, that was very crazy.
Maybe the Packers will hire you to try to talk to him.
I'm available. I'm available to talk to Aaron. We have a very strong connection. Very Goose Frabas situation going on.
If you wanted to go to Arizona, would you say Kyler Murray go hit the curb?
That's funny. We have talked about that, and it was no. I don't think we're a team that should trade the future for 37-year-old Aaron Rodgers. There's a lot of teams. Washington would be amazing.
It would be amazing. Thank you for saying that. The more people that say it,
all in.
the better chance it comes true.
People are talking about it.
Just theoretically, let's just say you did give up the farm and Kyler Murray. Do you think Aaron Rodgers in a Cardinals jersey, as your team is currently constructed, wins a championship?
I think he improves our odds this year, but I think honestly, what I think Kyler can become, and what Kyler was at the beginning of the year before he got hurt, I think it really is. I think it's only a few percentage points that Aaron Rodgers on this team having to do a whole new system, mesh with the team.
That's true.
I don't think it's like changes everything for Arizona. So that's why I wouldn't do. I'm sure they're not even entertaining sending Kyler away for Aaron Rodgers.
No way.
It's fun to do the mental exercise. Got a mental sweat. What would Aaron Rodgers on Arizona look like? So I don't think it changes it. It doesn't take us over the top.
Also, my question:
if I'm any team trading for Aaron Rodgers, I have them throw Jordan Love in too, and I give him my quarterback just to keep Aaron on his toes.
Games.
So we're talking about Jordan Love. I want to just really quickly talk about another quarterback, Josh Rosen. Do you, Andy, or Jason have a Josh Rosen jersey in your house?
Oh, Jason does for sure. Jason was. I mean, we put that out there. We put our Nest camera footage. Jason loved Josh Rosen, and when it was setting up for the pick, he's on the knees on the elbows on the knees, just so panicked and tortured inside of holy crap, we could get the quarterback that I love. Selection is made. He freaks out. He is just up. He's dancing. He's pumping his fists. And he immediately bought a Josh Rosen jersey, and didn't work.
I'm in the Josh Rosen isn't that bad club.
That's because you want to be hot take. Why? What's good about
be hot taking?
Why?
He's got a strong arm. He's smart. He just hasn't had a chance. Like he's had how many snaps? How many starts? Like the dude.
Here's my rebuttal to that. And like he got a bad beat in Arizona.
Yes.
The team that he was on, it didn't matter who the quarterback was. That team sucked. I mean, our offensive line was just atrocious. But you could see what they saw enough to say what Josh Rosen can become versus what we think Kyler Murray can become. You make that happen. So where I make the rebuttal of he hasn't had his shot, he was traded to a team in Miami that needed a quarterback. If he couldn't prove it and earn the job there, against the competition that he had, then I think it's safe to say that he's a catastrophic first-round bust.
When I say, he's definitely a bust. But when I say, hasn't had a shot, I mean, like, go to a team that is actually invested in your success. When he went to Miami, it was just like, okay, well, here's your chance. If you can prove it, we'll keep you around.
They traded a 2 for him. So that's like a second-round quarterback.
They did, but I mean, you look at
maybe he should move to tight end.
Look at
I feel like when he came out and said, "I'm the best quarterback in this class," and like his other arrogant remarks, everybody's
they
like,
all say that.
We're rooting for this guy. Josh Rosen is.
I don't want a quarterback who doesn't think they're the best.
I didn't mean to bring up Josh Rosen and have the whole show be a Josh Rosen. So
right.
we can let's Let's move on to some news and notes here I wanted to get into because we have a fun show planned here. I don't have the music that you guys use for Kerryon Johnson. I wish I did. But how do you feel about Kerryon Johnson with the Eagles? Is it anything to worry about if you have any of those Eagles, other guys in their backfield to invest in?
I think it's just another check mark against Miles Sanders being a 3-down running back. Even you look, Miles Sanders. I like PFF grading. I know that there's some people who they're not super into it. I think they do a pretty good job. Miles Sanders, I don't have the number in front of me, but he ranked as like 148 of 153 running backs in just his receiving chops. Like it was, and if you watch the Eagles games, you go, what is happening? Because we thought he had the skill set. He was pretty good at it as a rookie, but he was, because he got a few deep passes from Carson Wentz back then, but he was atrocious, man. It was so bad. And the fact that they spend the 5th round pick, which is not a lot, but it's Kenneth Gainwell. You know what he's going to do. He's the best pass catcher in this whole rookie class. He could play wide receiver if that's what they really wanted to do, but he's brought in for one purpose. Kerryon Johnson has passing down chops. That's one of the. I mean, he's been. I think Kerryon Johnson is better than what has happened to him. He's just been so hurt that availability is an ability. I get it. Teams get frustrated and they give up on guys because they keep getting hurt. But if he were to be able to stay healthy, I think it's another check mark that the team is saying we're not very confident that Miles Sanders is going to be the 3rd down back. And I think people, not everyone, but I think the majority of people still view Miles Sanders as that potential 3-down stud who can be a real workhorse. And I don't view him like that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I'm too invested in taking him where he's probably going to be going in most drafts. Like, wouldn't you say he's probably going to be somewhere maybe middle of the 2nd round-ish? Like probably. So like that's a high investment to pay in somebody that has 5 or 6 bodies there with him. You have Kenneth Gainwell, you have Jordan Howard.
That's vulturing touchdowns right there.
Yeah, I mean,
I forgot about Jordan Howard, to be honest.
Jordan Howard's there. He's there.
Never forget about Jordan Howard. He pops up when you don't want him to.
2 games a year, you'll have Boston Scott coming in there and being the guy. Yeah. So, no, it's a scary backfield. I'm interested to see where he goes once ADP kind of settles in a little bit. But the other news I wanted to kind of bring up here, Jawan James suffered a torn Achilles, $10 million base salaries in jeopardy. Mike, if you're the Broncos, this is a hard situation right now because if you don't pay him, you probably have the players being like, you guys are just, I can't even think of the word I want to use right now.
Right.
But like, what do you do?
And that's another situation of, I can understand the team being really mad, right? I mean, they bring him in with a huge investment. He plays a handful of games, gets hurt. He then opts out, which I fully respect. Like, this is not me judging someone from opting out from where we were. Don't forget where we were when people were opting out. Yeah. But you're the football team, and you went ahead with your season, and it was it was very successful. I mean, you had a couple outbreaks, but as a whole, it was very successful what they were able to do. So I'm sure that the management is pretty frustrated with the guys who decided to opt out. Then you go into this, and now he's going to miss another year. Like, as the management of the team, you got to be really, really frustrated. But this whole thing of you have to be working out only on the premises. I mean, if the team can somehow prove like, oh, this guy was out, he was actually snowboarding and he tore his Achilles. He lying to us that he was working out. If somehow you can prove that, okay, you have beef because they put that stuff into contracts. Like, you can't ride motorcycles, you can't do dangerous
That's
stuff.
what Madison Bumgarner did.
Right. And and like Big Ben, like motorcycle crashes and stuff. But the guy is doing what he's well, we're not getting into Big Ben. But he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. He is keeping in shape for his profession. The fact that you have these strict rules that, well, if you get hurt working out on your own, like that's bull crap, man. The NFL is a tough place, and the team the team should do the right thing and find an injury settlement. Maybe it's not the full $10 million, but you pay him, I don't know, half of it, and you waive him or something, and then let's see if somebody else wants to handle the problem. I don't know his whole contract of how he'll hit the salary cap and all that, but you have to do something because it's bullcrap.
I think they kind of have to pay him because that's an easy way to start like a labor versus capital fight. Like the next CBA go around. Like we can't have this kind of language. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Not,
that too.
Not even that deep, but yeah, people are just going to be pissed. And the current players, he probably has a ton of buddies there. Probably.
Oh yeah.
Man.
We'll best believe this will be a topic we'll talk with DeMaurice Smith tomorrow about. So
what?
Yeah, we got him coming on
Thursday.
We're big time.
Or Thursday. Sorry, Thursday.
Yeah.
That's a get, man. Good for you guys.
You can come on with us if you want.
good invite there, Brad. I like it. But if you enjoy all the content we're spewing out, make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button wherever you find podcasts. If you want to hear more Triple Play, great news for you. We have a fantasy baseball and basketball show you can check out, available anywhere you get your podcasts. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you hook us up with a 5-star rating and review, just like Mike got hooked up with that Fireball Island set I think I saw while I was stalking to do some research about you.
I had to buy that.
You bought it yourself?
Yes. That wasn't given to me.
Dude,
but it's awesome. It's Fireball Island, man.
What is it? What is it?
How old are you? First off,
I'm 29.
Okay, that's fringe. So like I'm pushing 40 here pretty soon. But when we were kids, Fireball Island, it's this huge monstrosity of a board game. So it's when you're young, like this is cool. It's called Fireball Island. Can you make a cooler name than that for a kid? I don't think you can. And then you get to drop the fireballs into the angry volcano who like tries to hit you with them and knock you off the island. I mean, this game is fantastic. I was picturing, but I check it out.
I was picturing a cinnamon whiskey drinking game when I heard the name.
Yeah, right.
Okay, all right.
The only thing is the name sounds really badass, but it doesn't sound like it might live up to it. I don't know.
Actually, we might have to cut out what you just said there. I think that's a business opportunity.
Oh, throwing tons of those out here. But yeah, so make sure you hook us up. Obviously, all our stuff's at Triple Play Fantasy socials, websites, trippleplayfantasy.com. Doc tweets all the stuff out that you don't care about. But remember, like Dad always said, why spend an entire paycheck on Disney World when you can go to Chuck E. Cheese? We like to think we're the Chuck E. Cheese of podcasts. If you close your eyes and you pretend, I may even sound like I'm someone even better. Heck, I might even sound like Andy Holloway if you pretend long enough.
You know the Chuck E. Cheese filed bankruptcy, right?
Did they really?
That's what I
says.
Since when?
Don't compare us to a bankrupt company.
I thought that was a compliment. When did they file bankruptcy? You guys have to tell me these things.
Charles E. Cheese.
Charles Entertainment Cheese. Yeah.
When has anybody said Chuck E. Cheese is a good place to go in the last decade?
Did you all see that like trending thing where they may put pizzas together? Like they'll take old slices and they'll just pile them next to each other.
And I'll tell you what, that was good pizza. I remember that was part of my childhood.
It was great pizza.
Even if it was
June 2020.
June. Oh, so it was kind of recently. Right. Okay. Well,
yeah, just like a year ago.
Changes. Okay, so we're like the day.
Dave and Buster's. That's better. I mean, they're certainly what are probably 2 years from bankruptcy.
Yeah, I was about to say they're
a self-sustained economy though, so I think they'll be okay.
I'm sorry, guys. I didn't realize us calling ourselves a bankrupting of lies here. So
foreshadowing.
But yeah. So anyway, check us out. We appreciate all the love that you guys can give us.
Let's jump. Longest plug between Fireball Island and the Chuck E. Cheese segue cutaways.
To believe it or not, that was not planned. So, so building a brand. You guys, Mike, you guys are 4-time winners of the People's Choice at the Podcast Awards, the 2019 FSGA winner of the Best Fantasy Podcast, the iHeartRadio 2019 winner of the Best Sports Podcast. Tons of other awards that I ain't gonna get into, but I did check that all the stuff you guys won out. It's a laundry list of here. I don't know if you've noticed, Mike, the entire Twitter world is blown up with podcasts since the pandemic started. It's been like the Big Bang Theory, right? Like everybody has a podcast now.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have been able. What's so funny about that?
Where are you pulling these references from?
That makes sense.
I'm here for all science-related jokes and references. Please continue.
Yeah, they have me self-conscious now.
David, that show was also over.
when it was on.
Wait, were you referencing the show or the actual
He's probably
universe?
Which one will you give me more compliments for?
The show sucks balls, man.
I was
referencing doing the show.
I was referencing the actual universe. Science event. Yeah.
No, you weren't. No, you weren't. Because the universe would make more sense. You picked the show because it doesn't make sense.
You'll never know. You'll never know. You'll never know. So with everything exploding like the universe did in the beginning here.
There you go.
Wow, that's good.
Mike, you got to walk everybody that's tuning in and us. We're building a brand, trying to build the brand. How do you guys go about it? We just have some questions we want to ask you because you guys are kind of at the point where I think a lot of people are trying to get to in the fantasy industry. So first question I want to start off with is I know you guys started in the tech gaming world before the FF Ballers, right?
Yep.
How did the idea come about? And then what made you guys decide to finally just be like, you know what? Like, usually don't curse on the pod. I'll be like, fuck it. You guys were going all in. Let's do it. What was it? What happened?
So there's definitely a few steps between the company and that decision where we went all in. But so the background is Jason owned a tech company. We made Facebook games, iOS games. Andy was, I think, the COO. He was just like a jack of all trades. I mean, he did so much stuff for the business. He was all over, from Photoshop to management to be just crazy. And I did the audio. I did the soundtracks, the sound effects, and some other stuff as well. But so kind of the genesis of the idea was first off, we have our league of record, which we reference on the show a little bit, and we wanted to take it up a notch because that's what that league is all about. Just like we're all really, really passionate about wanting to win that league. It's everyone's favorite league, which I'm the only person who's ever won the championship 3 times. Just when I
nice subtle brag.
And so one year, Andy and I are like, well, let's do a podcast. Once a week on lunch, we'll do a podcast just about the league, where we will review people's trades. We'll talk it really just turned into us talking garbage about everybody else's team, kind of what fantasy football is, a big part of it. But highlight if someone made a real smart move or a bad move, and it was really fun. Like, it was just once a week, cut loose and just mock your friends and know that they're going to listen to it, but they're going to have a good time, and it's just enhancing the league, taking it up to the next, another level. So eventually, the company is kind of, you can read the tea leaves that people better start getting resumes figured out, because we don't know when it's coming, but it's coming. And it was like all we did in the office, really. I mean, we would do our jobs sometimes, but fantasy football was the life of the office, because a lot of the other guys in the league worked with us too. So we would talk shop all the time, and it eventually turned into, okay, if you could do whatever you wanted to do, and working in fantasy football sounds pretty freaking cool, and how do you make that happen? And we said, well, we're already doing this podcast. What if we tried to make a podcast forward-facing? We're making a public one, where we're actually going after it, seeing if people listen to our advice. And it was just Andy and I, and we were making some episodes, and it was just, it was so bad. We sucked. We were awful. And eventually, and Jason was listening to it because Jason loved the league podcast, and he was talking to us. He's like, guys, the fun is not there. Somehow along the way, when we went to the quote real show, we got nervous. We felt like we had to present ourselves in a certain way. We had to be network TV. You had to be ESPN. That's the only way you can go about it.
You were
and
making
it ruined it.
You were making Big Bang references, Chuck E. Cheese references, all that stuff, all those mistakes.
Yeah. Yes, huge mistakes. And we were so reserved. We weren't being ourselves. Our personality was completely masked and hidden away. So eventually we start getting better. We start improving. And I mean, no one's listening to the show, but we start improving, and then everything explodes with the business, and it is time now. Everyone has to find a job. And we say, hey, everyone's trying to find their job, what if we kind of do this on the side, the Footballers podcast? Let's bring Jason in. Let's bring that third voice. I mean, Jason's the funniest guy I know, and he'll give good advice. He'll really improve the podcast. So we bring him in, and then we make this decision. Let's start in the off season, because the best time to start talking about fantasy football, whatever it was 7 years ago, is right after the Super Bowl, because but we were insane, and we were making the show that we wish somebody else would make, because we hate like Sirius XM. As soon as football is done, maybe it might be different now, but at the time when football was done, now they're on to baseball content, and I'd rather put a needle in my eye than listen to fantasy baseball talk. No offense, fellas.
Ouch.
Yeah, I was gonna say you won't listen to our baseball ones, I take it.
I actually like baseball, but I just wanted to hear about football. That was my passion. And so we decided, okay, let's go for it. June comes around, and listeners start coming in, and we're having a very good response from people, and the show is growing, and it starts snowballing, and we're going, okay, what do we do with this now? And we made the decision in, I think, June, of saying, okay, guys, if this is going to work, and we think it can, with the listenership that's coming in, we think we can make it work. Once August hits, we have to do 5 shows a week. If you want to be the business, if we're going to compete with ESPN, we're going to compete with CBS, we have to be 5 days a week. So we committed to it. We made that work. And the business was, I mean, it took forever for any sort of money to actually come in from the podcast. I remember getting our first sponsor ever was we did a read for Audible, which is pretty common on podcasts, but we do our read, and I think it was worth like $200 or something. And we're like, guys, we just made $200 in 60 seconds. I mean, that's not actually true, because there's months and months and months of work, but it was this weird feeling of like, I just read something for 60 seconds and advertised this service, and I'm going to make $200. This is awesome. But somehow, some way, we all made it. We kept the business going along. We figured out how to buy months at a time, how to keep people paying their mortgage so everyone's family could keep eating it, and our spouses didn't turn on us. And then we just now we're here. And now we're here to live. Life is good, man. Can't complain.
It's like Manscaped now. Like everybody has Manscaped.
Yeah. You're darn right we do.
No free ads. We're not a Manscaped pod.
We used to be. Okay, so that then leads into the next question I had. Getting to that point, obviously, you guys had to learn how to market yourselves to be able to kind of get yourself out there for more listeners to be able to find you guys. How did you guys go about making sure you guys could stand out and market yourselves to people that were way outside your circle?
So social media was huge for us, especially Twitter. And I mean, I'll throw out, I mean, I love, talking the story, giving the advice, but you have to respect and highlight the fact we were very lucky, man. We were right place, right time. Because when we launched our podcast, there were some other fantasy shows, but it was ESPN, CBS, Audible was around back then. I think like the fantasy football guys, but the podcast space of fantasy football did not look anything like it does now, and podcasting was just about to hit a real hockey stick growth curve, and like meanwhile I'm just highlighting that fantasy football podcasts weren't all over the place, because writing on the web was. Everybody had a blog. Everyone was doing rankings. And so doing the podcast was kind of a way to separate ourselves in a market that we felt like there was an entry point. And we hit that right at the time that podcast was growing. So while I'm giving what I think are good tips and advice, we found a magical sweet spot right on the bat. Just right place, right time. And luck is a big part of life, man, whether we want to admit it or not.
So, Mike, you had mentioned that 200 revenue you made is kind of like a holy crap. We got, $200 for reading this for 60 seconds, even though it was,
right.
Months in the making. But prior to that, did you give yourself certain benchmarks to hit, number of listens, social media followers, amount of interaction as kind of benchmarks to success?
No, success was mortgages. That was the success point. Was okay. Next month, will we have enough revenue coming in to make sure that everyone can make their mortgage payment on time while still paying all the other bills that we have, and making sure that we all have groceries and things like that. So that was the benchmark. I've never really thought of how many setting the success. Trying to compose my words here of how I want to word it. I think a lot of why we are where we are, we're the fantasy footballers. One, the three of us all were in the exact same stage of life. We all had 3 kids. Like, we're all within a 2-year age gap. So I mean, we're all on the same course, right? We already have, one of us isn't very young, like hungry for social media fame. One of us isn't trying to retire and save up the money for that. We're all on the exact same part of the journey, which is very fortunate. And I don't think any of us ever set once we're at this listenership, we're successful. Once I have this many follows, we are successful.
Mm-hmm.
That's not who we are. It's fun. It's super cool. I'm not gonna, like, when I hit 100,000 followers on Twitter, that was like very, very cool and felt awesome. When I finally got verified on Twitter, I don't know if you guys followed that whole thing, but somehow the other 2 got verified, and I had to wait like a year. And
Really?
Oh yeah, it became this whole shtick on the show where they would check in to see if I was verified, and it was a disaster. And so those things definitely were meaningful and fun, but that never set the standard of, are we a success right now?
To the best you can remember, it's a difficult question because it was a while ago, but what were the milestones when you were working on the pod, from being a complete startup to when you first got that $200?
So the $200 was from our podcast host. They had I think it was like you have to be averaging 1,000 listens or something a show, and then you can opt into their advertising section, and then you split some revenue. And the moment where, so there eventually became companies like who we worked with for a very long time. Their name is Midroll, and they're like an advertiser broker. And we thought we were a little cooler than we were, and we reached out to them and be like, we're pulling in like 10,000 listens an episode. I think you guys might want to pick us up. They're like, yeah, that's really nice. How about you reach out to us when you're like closer to, like 100,000 a show? And we're like, oh, okay, thanks for that. But we kept in contact with them. We were not overly aggressive, but just persistent, and we kept reaching out to them as the show was growing. And once we kind of had a contract with them, that was a security, financial security that was brand new for the show. It wasn't everything. I mean, we had to take some really, really bad deals in the very beginning because of just the way that finances work in podcasting. But that was when we signed that first contract with Midroll, that was a really big deal for the business of like, we need to keep scratching and fighting and for everything we can, but this is going to work.
Hmm.
Yeah,
What do you
so
think? Oh, my
go ahead,
bad, Dave. Go ahead.
I was just going to say one thing that I think people don't realize, one of the slogans you guys have it on your site is you guys are highly accurate, highly entertaining, and of high production quality.
Oh,
And
that's our Triforce, man. Our Triforce of power.
Yeah, and I think it goes without saying the first two, of course, but I think a lot of times people sleep on the last part of it, right? The last part about how important the production quality is, because that can separate you. Someone's listening for the first time, you don't sound good. They're not, or they have bricks on their shirt.
Or a 30-second countdown clock, or
that's good production quality.
Or comparing ourselves to a bankrupt company.
Yeah, so outside of my errors, how important is the production quality for people that might not be investing in mics or taking it as seriously as they should?
Oh, it's massive. And that was, so I'll try to bounce back to this, but another thing that I think really helped us be successful. Well, number one, I mean, Jason, who was my former boss, and Andy, they had grown a business from essentially a startup to, I mean, this in its heyday, that company was very successful, and they're business minded. They already think that way. I'm not a businessy guy, so I was kind of, just riding their coattails when it came to that stuff and learning and soaking up whatever I could from them. But from day one, once Jason came on, we treated it like a business. We sat down. How are we going to, what are we going to do? Like I mentioned how we started in the off season, but that was an intentional decision that we made for how we wanted our business to be. And we made those 3 pillars of entertaining, accurate, and production quality, because at the time, in our opinion, it was very difficult to find a show that actually had all 3. Most the big networks, those were good shows. I mean, like, we often credit the CBS show for being a model. Like, I love those guys on CBS. Mm-hmm. I think they have a great product. It's not as good as the fantasy footballers, but it's a very good product. And they're good dudes over there. But aside from like ESPN and CBS, all the smaller shows, none of them knew how to do audio. They didn't bother to learn how to do it. Like, it is actually painful for me to listen to this. I mean, when it's in my ear pods, the frequencies, it hurts, man. Like, you got to do something about this. Or you would have people that knew their stuff. The audio was pretty good, but it's like people reading scientific formulas, and you're going, this is not consumable, man. I'm trying to pay attention because you got good information, but you are boring the crap out of me. It's like Bueller, I mean, that type of stuff. And so we made that like our business, not the business model, but a motto for the business was, we're going to have all 3 of these things from the beginning. And so that leads to the production quality. And that was where I was able to, come in and kind of flex on them, because they don't know how to do audio, but I was an audio engineer, and that's right. Flex those audio muscles. So I already knew how to do everything. I didn't have to learn. But that was something that really set our show apart, especially at that time, was the abundance, the lack of actual production quality, while we're out there with rich dynamic tone. We're not compressing the crap out of our file, and we're compressing it, but I know how to compress it so that the file size is down without completely torturing your audio quality. But you only have, I mean, to go cliche, you have one chance to make the first impression. People aren't going to fire up a podcast, hear the quality, and go, man, this is rough. I'm going to check back in 3 months. I'm going to put a little note to myself to remind, I'm going to come back. I'm going to see how these guys are doing in 3 months. No one has ever said that in the history of podcasting.
I'll be the first.
There you go.
So you got to be ready for a new listener day one. And here's a dirty secret. It's not hard. Jump on YouTube. How do I make good audio? Like it is not a difficult thing to learn how to do. You just have to invest a few hours of your time. When it comes to cost, yes, it's more than a $20 microphone. But when we started, we were all on a $100 microphone. And I know that is a lot of money for a lot of people. We just were like, we have to make this investment because we have a certain quality that we need to hit. But I'm on super fancy Shure microphone now. We were not on this for the first 3 years of our recordings, and our production was something you would hear, guys, I can't believe how your show sounds compared to whatever show X. So yes, learn your stuff, make the appropriate investments where you can. And even if you can't afford the world's best microphone, there are ways to learn how to EQ things, compression, filters. There's a lot of stuff you can do on cheaper equipment that makes it sound good.
What advice would you give to a newer podcast that is just learning how to format their show? Like, what do you think would be a good format for a newer show to get recurring audience in a very saturated market?
So it is.
And maybe it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean the first thing I would say is make the show that you want to hear. I mean, because that's when you'll give your best, is going, this is something I want to listen to. And maybe that's the format of somebody you like. And that's honestly, that's where everything starts. When you're doing any type of anything, I mean, art, music, you look and you pretend to be whoever it is that you admire. And once you've done that enough and figure out who you are, then it starts to branch in, and that's when you stop impersonating other people and your voice starts to come out. But it's a very natural thing like when you start learning the guitar, you learn other people's music. The first thing you're doing is not like writing your own masterpieces. You're learning how to play Metallica Enter Sandman because you're like, this song is super awesome and I want to know how to play like this. And eventually you play enough Metallica songs that you understand, oh, this is how they are doing it. Now I can take that and turn it into my own thing. So find the shows that you admire, see how they're doing it. I mean, make notes. Make notes yourself. I like this part of their show. I think they could do without this segment, or however. I mean, we run our show on a Google Doc, right? So everyone knows exactly when and where we're supposed to be talking about certain things. But that would be where I would start.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that everybody aspires to have this as a full-time job, similar to you guys. But a lot of us, and you'd mentioned you started it kind of as an idea, something to do during lunch. But when you started getting that feeling of burnout, which, I think happens to most of us, what were some of the things that kept you going?
That this has to work. We got to the point where the amount of time and resources that we have invested into this has to work. And like I was saying, of how we're all on the same part of our journey through life, and just knowing what's at stake for everybody else, of if this doesn't work, number one, that is lame because we're working in fantasy football. And if you play fantasy football, you've had the idea, man, what if I had a full-time job in fantasy football? That sounds really, really cool. So that, but just knowing the stakes that for my family and the other two guys' families, that if this doesn't work, everyone's back to square one trying to find an idea, or we're going to Target and saying, do you have a position available, at checkout or moving boxes? Like you were at that point of you have to make it work, or you got to find a day job that you can make enough money at. And And then once you're in the day job, then it also, now you have put another thing, another not an impossible obstacle to overcome, but you have the obstacle of, I have a full-time job, I'm a full-time dad, where do I fit in the stuff for the time for my dreams? So like I said, not impossible to overcome, but we were already in it. So it was, I think that was able to drive us through the burn. And the burnout is real. The burnout will happen. The burnout happens to everybody who does this. The marathon of the season is extremely taxing, and by the end you're burnt out. But then and another thing for us that helps us recover from the burnout is, in season we are entertainers, we're podcasters, we talk about fantasy football, we do all the rankings and stuff. You're in a long distance run, you're in a marathon, right? Once the season is over, now we flip into what is our development cycle, where we get to come up with cool ideas like the draft kit, or this year we launched the Dynasty Pass. What can we build now? So us having that time where we're still putting out shows, but you're not just I gotta wake up, I gotta get into the studio because we have to put this show out as quick as possible. Things are a little more relaxed, and now we're in a far more creative mode of what sounds fun to do right now. What do we think can help the business? So that helps the burnout, because it helps you regenerate and get excited as the season starts to approach again, and then the cycle just continues.
Yeah, I feel, Brad, we got to move on.
Okay.
I feel like we're all sponges here.
No, go to Brad's question. Go to Brad's question.
I want to. Well, I had a question in Game of the Week for you. I want to make sure we're respectful of your time here.
We're good. We're good.
Okay.
Man. What's Brad's? We'll do Brad's question, then we'll
You're
move.
my kind of guy. You're my kind of guy. All right. So I was gonna ask, what are you most proud of through this whole journey?
The thing I am most proud of is I never really in my life thought of myself as an entrepreneur, a business owner. I was going to be a musician, but so, I was just going to do odd jobs. I was always going to be working for somebody. That's just, and my brain didn't really allow me to, or not didn't allow me, but I never had those thoughts of, what would it be like to be a business owner? And so we're up to, I got to count 1, 2, or we have 5, I think 5. I don't know. I might be forgetting someone, but we have 5 full-time employees that are not us.
Wow.
And like my company, this thing that I have built with, not just me, of course, but me, Andy, and Jason, this thing that we have built together now provides for 5 other people and their families. And our job is awesome. Like, our job is great. That we talk about fantasy football. It's ridiculous. But so going from never picturing that in my life to I'm now responsible for providing for these people's families, which is like a huge honor and a huge responsibility that I take extremely serious. So that would be what I'm most proud of for the job.
Well, since you've got time now, it's better to ask this one. The biggest fight you've had among your coworkers was what?
Then we'll move on.
I like to end on something negative. It's the kind of guy I am.
The honest truth is, we'll get in little spits, but the biggest fights we have ever had are fantasy football related.
I love it.
Like we had the only moment I can think of is we had one time on the show, and we left it in. I was giving advice to trade Trey Burton after he had kind of scored. He had like a couple good weeks in a row on Chicago. I'm like, you got to bail out. This is I don't believe in that this is going to be moving forward. And so Andy was pressing me on it, and then he said something about like, well, that feels like empty advice, and it just like I got mad because he was talking over me, and I just got to the point I'm like, would you let me talk? And it was that's the only time that's ever happened on the show, and it became
Passion.
super awkward. But that was it. Other than that, like, we're all very aligned, thankfully, of where and what we want the business to become.
That's awesome. I mean, again, it's definitely hearing somebody that's been there and it's kind of gone through what we're going through right now to try to build something. It definitely is inspiring for us. Again, I think we're all SpongeBob here trying to soak this thing up. So appreciate you kind of giving your wisdom and advice. But we talked about format. We do have a format here that we try to be unique with. So we're going to have you go through the triple play chamber here, if you will. And that starts off
chamber.
Yeah, I don't even know why I call it that. But the triple play something. I'm not good with comparisons today.
The triple play Fire Island.
See, there we go. That's why you're here.
Fireball Island. Thank you very much.
You're right. Okay.
So we go with the question of the week first. Little take on me to get the mood right, get it set.
Okay.
I figured you're a take on me type of guy, right? Like likes the classics.
You know it.
All right. So our question of the week is sponsored by Monkey Knife Fight. Make sure you use promo code TRIPLEPLAY at checkout and you get your deposit up to $50 match when you become a new user and use that code. We are now an official affiliate to them, so we'd like to try to spread the word, help pay the bills a little bit here. So if you're looking to win some cash, Brad and Eric help run our Monkey Knife Fight shows. You'll see once a week. Make sure you can win big. Our question of the week, which NFL player do you think has the highest alcohol tolerance in the league? So... So, Mike, we got to start with you. You're the guest. Who do you think it is?
Oh my goodness. Now, do you go with it's got to be one of the guys in the trenches, the big guy? You got all that area for the content to go, or is there someone who's real small? All right, I have my answer. He's not in the. Is it okay if he's not in the NFL anymore?
We'll give you a pass. We'll give you a pass for today.
I've never seen somebody who can eat garbage. This is like his nutritional entire setup is garbage. And Chad Johnson eats only McDonald's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somehow this man, and no shame, I've had periods in my life where I only ate McDonald's and things.
Yeah.
I didn't look like him. I didn't look anything like that. Go ahead.
Usain Bolt at the Olympics ate McDonald's in the Beijing Olympics. Maybe they're on to something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they are. But Chad Johnson, he's got a superhuman metabolism. So I think that would also translate to he's got a superhuman liver that can just process everything. And he probably can't even get drunk. Let's be honest.
Can you imagine Chad Johnson drunk and going on Twitter? He might put out. He might put out something about getting a 2.2 GPA or something like that.
It'll probably be exactly the same.
It probably would be. Doc, what about you? What's your answer?
So mine was David Bakhtiari, and if you saw that video of him and Aaron Rodgers at a Bucs game where they do a chug off and they drink one, and then Rodgers is done and Bakhtiari's just slamming beer after.
He's 5 deep.
Yeah, he drinks 5 beers in 4 minutes. So until I see video evidence of somebody matching that, that's my answer.
Johnny, what about you?
I didn't have one prepared, so I actually have to steal him from the sidebar. It's got to be Sebastian Janikowski. He looks like he rolls up with a 6-pack and a pack of cigs and then kicks a field goal. And I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard a story where he was drunk and disorderly, and he tried to pay off the police officer, and he was getting in trouble for it. And he said, "No, that's just how we do things in Poland." And he got away with it from his lawyer. He was trying to pay the fine up front, was his claim. He was trying to pay the fine up front.
Oh, that's good.
That's a story. Brad, what's yours?
And I don't know if it's true or not.
Yeah, I'm gonna go off the board here. I'm gonna go somebody like Zach Wilson at a BYU. He's not allowed to drink. He's probably a wild man.
What a pull! I mean, is he even old enough to drink right now?
I think so. I think he's probably 28. They all go on mission.
Yeah. Could be.
Well, Brandon Whedon style.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, someone said in the comments, it has to be Gronk, right?
That's
Gronk.
No, because he just pours the beer on his head. He doesn't drink it.
Yeah.
He pours it on his head. It gets on the floor, and then he doesn't drink it.
No, actually, that's a good point, John.
He's smart.
Yes, that's good. All right, well, that was a good group of players. Let's go to the last segment of the night, and let's get the mood started right here with
Oh,
we're getting a little funky now. Getting a little.
I'm glad you have that as opposed to the other one.
Oh, the
oh, Brad, it's too sexy.
It's a PG show.
So game of the week. We like to do a different game every single week. We'll do like a spelling bee. We'll do a Twitter followers guessing game. We do a bunch of different things here. I know you guys, it's Spitballers. You guys do like a Would You Rather game sometimes. So we have a version we like to do called a little triple play, this or that. And they're very unique questions. Hopefully at least one you've never been asked before. So
Okay, so if it's triple play, it's this or that or that.
oh damn it.
Damn.
That's a
This
real
guy's
you
a
gotta
pro,
keep
man.
up, man.
This
We're
guy's
finding a
pro.
new host. We're
Mike,
finding a new
Mike,
host.
what are you doing to me?
Putting you in a
got him
body bag,
nervous.
apparently.
Oh my god. I don't even
Yeah.
deserve to wear this hat
He's
anymore.
he's ratioing you.
Yeah, he is. All right. Well, now I know we'll do this for the future. It'll be 3 options, but for now, it's going to be the discounted 2 here.
All right.
So we got 10 quick rapid fire questions for you, and then we'll get out of here. Starting with number 1: Arizona Cardinals win a Super Bowl, or you score your dream guest for your podcast, whoever you want that to be.
Super Bowl.
Who would the dream guest be?
Oh, who would the dream guest be?
Yeah.
Probably Fitz.
Super Bowl winner Kyler Murray after he wins.
Oh man, no, Larry Fitz. He's our white whale, man.
Yeah.
He's the hometown hero, and we've never been able to get him on.
But you've had Pat Mahomes, so you've already been the top of the mountain. So that's good. Next one. You can only bring back 190 snack. What is it?
Bring one back. That's not a this or that question.
Well,
That's not a would you
ruined
rather.
the format, so now I'm going everywhere.
I don't know. You'd have to give me a list of I don't know what's gone.
Scooby
what's the-
snacks, Scooby-Doo cereal, Pepsi Blue.
What about we'll get Crystal Pepsi back in here.
Oh, that's a good one.
That stuff was insane, and
I
people
forgot about
lost their
Crystal
minds
Pepsi.
for it.
What about Dunkaroos had they not come back with
They're
that
back. They're
choice? I said
Dunkaroos are back.
I said if they had not come back.
I was never a big Dunkaroo guy.
Fair.
Did Dez catch it?
No,
Ooh.
the rule was called appropriately. He did not catch it.
All right. Get all your tattoos removed, or you have to watch the Cardinals Super Bowl loss every day for the next 10 years.
Oh, do I have to watch the whole game?
You gotta watch the whole game every day.
That's
That's too long, man. That's 3 or 4 hours of my life. But so I guess just for practicality, I have to remove all my tattoos, and then I get to pick new ones.
Okay, there we
So
go.
There's a bright side.
All right. Would you rather be able to rewind or put your life on pause?
Ooh. Rewind. I like to pause things. So I'll get some naps in. Can I get a nap here? But rewind, man. If you could just like those moments where you feel yourself saying something like, I should not be saying this. If you could rewind, I mean, that'd be great.
I mean, you'd be able to be even millionaire, billionaire, know all the lottery numbers too. So,
Yeah.
I mean, good answer with that one. All right. We're going to get a little bit more off the wall with these next couple here. Would you rather go a month wearing a cape or an eye patch?
Oh, cape.
Oh, that was no hesitation. Why?
What? Because capes are awesome, man. It's a travesty that they are not publicly acceptable. And in fact, if someone's wearing a cape, they look weird and you judge them harshly, as I would probably judge somebody wearing a cape. But if you gotta go with one, at least look like a superhero.
You guys should maybe do that for one show. Just be the superhero edition. Make it
capes.
acceptable. Make wearing capes acceptable.
Normalize capes.
I'm going to
There we
start a
go.
movement. We're going to start a movement starting on this show. Would you rather fight like Mike Tyson or fight against Mike Tyson, I should say?
I'd like
Or-
to fight
or-
like Mike Tyson.
fight against Mike Tyson, or you have to talk like him for the rest of your life.
Oh my gosh. Like, because if you're fighting, and I assume for the integrity of the question, this is peak era Mike Tyson.
Yes.
Although Mike
Yes.
Tyson right now, it would still. It's the question is just how bad am I hurt? Because I'm not. If I am forced to fight and I can't just run around or lay down, I'm hurt. I will be hurt real bad. But I mean, you can't talk like that.
But you might have to talk like him if you fought him, if he did enough damage.
Yeah, if he got enough of my teeth out or got me in the throat. So I guess I'll fight him, and maybe I'll be able to get a punch in. I don't know.
Oh, there you go. See, you're the first person we've asked that question that actually said to fight him because they're too scared to just take it on. So I like it. You should
take your beating and get out of there.
You should put in your LinkedIn profile that you have a lot of courage. I don't know if it's in there or not.
People go
Realistically,
on LinkedIn.
it's just the one punch, and then
that's what I mean.
When you're going to sleep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I know you're a big Batman guy, right?
Yeah, I like Batman.
Would you rather keep Batman Beyond or Batman the Animated Series?
Ooh, Batman Beyond or the animated series. I love Batman very much, and it doesn't matter. Either one of those can go. And I know that's
Oh, damn.
like people are really into the animated series. When I was a kid, that was not my speed. That was not what I was into. So
Okay, who's the best Batman?
Christian Bale.
Yeah, my
that's
man.
That's an easy one.
Good answer.
George Clooney.
Yeah.
Get off the pie. Get off the pie. Last two. Would you rather have finger-sized nipples or nipple-sized fingers?
That's a good one. Finger-sized nipples.
He asked Matt Berry this, by the way.
But he had a loophole. He had a loophole for it, so I was just to see. If
Oh,
you could
that
find
sounds
it.
like Barry. I mean, I guess you got to go. I'm going finger-sized nipples, and you just tape them down, right? Because they're nipples. They're real floppy. You know, I mean,
But then
Unless-
they'd still pop out in your shirt. Like if you had a tight shirt on, you'd see the outline of it. It would just be sticking out.
a little bit, but I like my fingers. They help me.
That's fair enough. Matthew Berry did have the loophole. He said if they're nipples, aren't they flat against your body anyway? So it would just be in the shape of a finger, but you wouldn't be able to tell if you had a shirt on.
Okay,
That's the loophole,
okay.
I guess.
But I mean, they aren't flat. Barry's
They're
just
not.
telling on himself and his super inverted nipples.
Yeah, they are like little mountaintops. All right, last one. Do you pull your toilet paper from the bottom or the top?
Do you pull it?
So you know, like
Or
if you have a
like, do you
roll
have
of
to
toilet
tear?
paper, do you pull
Yeah.
it like that or do you go like that?
Over or under?
Yeah.
Yeah, you go over because I'm not a psychopath.
Whoa.
Wait a second. Oh, go ahead.
Under is the way to go. Under is the easy way.
No, go look at the patent for toilet paper. It is there, man. It is over.
It's like throwing a baseball overhand is not a natural motion. Underhand is. You just go under and scoop it like that rather than going over and pulling.
I don't
get-
think we're bringing baseball mechanics into this. It's much easier to pull the toilet paper from the front than because you can one-handed rip. Going from underneath bidets are bidet life, man. Look into
So
it.
that's the real answer. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, but-
bidet life is real. People, it's weird. Just embrace it because as soon as you get an anus that clean,
Yeah.
you'll never not use a
Normalized
bidet.
bidets and capes.
Yes.
There we go.
That's a good T-shirt.
Oh my God. Well, on that note, Mike, we were absolutely just had such a blast having you on the show, man. It was a treat for us, and we really thank you for your time.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Anything before we leave? Obviously, everybody knows the fantasy footballers, but any other stuff you'd like to plug just for the people that are listening that you want to let them know what's coming up?
Just follow me on socials at FFHitman and the footballers. We do it. It's Dynasty Week. We're trying something out on the footballers. We are a very redraft based show, but you know that we dabble into Dynasty from here every once in a while. But this week is all Dynasty, so check that out. And we have a live stream tomorrow. I think it's at 11 a.m. Pacific. So if you want to follow our socials, then you'll probably see when we pop up. I don't know. But sometime tomorrow, the footballers will be live.
Mike is a great follow. The Fantasy Footballers are obviously great follows. Please make sure you're checking them out if for some weird reason you live under a rock and you haven't already. The rest of this week, we have tomorrow we have the Schwab from Stump the Schwab. He's coming on and hanging out with us. And then Thursday, DeMaurice Smith will be here, so we'll be live for that show. So make sure you check those out. Until then, we will catch you all later. We're going to make like a bread truck and haul buns. See you guys then.
No, not bad. Not bad.